Hey guys, Christoph the Polish Geek, and welcome to another video. And this time I'm talking about why I refuse to see live action The Little Mermaid in theaters. That's right, I refuse to see this movie in cinema. And that's because I'm really getting tired of the Disney live action remakes. Like, none of those movies, almost none, have really been that good. I mean, Christopher Robin, that was pretty good. And I also liked the Little Dalmatians, but that was from like the 90s, so that was very, very different. Certainly not with the same intention that current Disney live action remakes are being made, because those are complete cash grabs and they are movies that no one ever needs, because they basically completely lack the magic of the original. Like some of those movies, like Pinocchio or Beauty and the Beast, they're basically retelling the whole story of the original movie, but completely have none of its magic, and as a result they are so soulless. And I guess Cinderella was also good, but I don't seem to love it as much as some people. I still think the original animated is the best one. And another of those examples is The Jungle Book 2016. When I first watched the movie, I used to really like it, but like most people, I think time has not been very kind to this movie, especially that it's just CGI fest, kind of like The Lion King and nothing else. But I'm really pissed most at Pinocchio, because Pinocchio is my favorite Disney movie ever, and this live action trash had to basically ruin it. But glad we still have animated classics. So yes, and those movies should never even be released in cinema. To be fair, they shouldn't even exist in the first place, but at the very least with Pinocchio, as well as Peter Pan and Wendy, at the very least they were straight on to Disney Plus. So watching them is kinda optional and you don't have to pay extra to see them. So I guess that can be forgiven, even though I don't think any of those movies should exist. But sadly, with The Little Mermaid, this is very much a movie that's now in theaters before it's going to be released on Disney Plus. But I know one thing, I'm most certainly not going to see this movie in cinema, because if we continuously pay to see those movies in cinema, it's only going to encourage Disney to make more and more of those live action remakes that no one ever asked for. Yeah, so if we don't want those remakes, we cannot support them, which is why I'm not seeing this movie in cinema. Maybe when it comes out on Disney Plus, I will watch it and then I will talk to you guys about it. But as I said, I'm not seeing it in cinema because, as I said, Disney live action remakes completely lack the magic of their original animated counterparts. Animation was was one of the major appeals from those movies. The original Little Mermaid, by the way, I think is a great Disney classic. It's not necessarily in my top 5 Disney animated movies, but it's certainly in my top 10 Disney animated movies. Yeah, I think The Little Mermaid from the 80s is most certainly one of their better animated movies. It's a really good movie, and yes, of course I was against the live action version of it. But then again, after they made live action Pinocchio, which, as I already said many times, is my very favorite Disney animated movie of all time, I kind of gave up on that, because it's obvious at this point they're just going to keep making more and more of them, and unfortunately my favorite one already got made. And the one more thing I will say about those Disney live action remakes, the last thing I will say, maybe it would be a better idea if they, for example, made them kind of different from the Disney animated movie and more similar to the original classic it's based on. Let's take, for example, actually the dreadful Pinocchio I keep talking about. If they, for example, maybe made the movie, let's say, darker and made it closer to the book, But again, there have been lots of live action. There have already lots of been live action adaptations of the original Pinocchio book. So I guess that simply shows this movie should not be made in the first place. But maybe let's use a different example. Let's use maybe, I don't know, let's use Mulan, which was also pretty trashy, although the movie is a perfect example of something that they don't know what to do with it, because the story was very, very different from the original animated movie, but they obviously still try to make very much lighthearted, which is obvious concerning it's Disney, but that also is part of what very much harmed the movie, because that's another problem of those Disney live action remakes. Those movies are live action, but they very much try to maintain the lightheartedness of their animated counterparts, which also harms the movies even more, because maybe if they at least tried to go for a more darker tone that was more consistent with the original book or history or whatever, I guess they would slightly be better. But again, we admittedly already have lots of adaptations of those animated classics anyways, so I guess it's probably, as I said, those are the movies that simply don't need to exist. Like, the animated are classics, they're classics, and the live action counterparts simply lack the magic of their animated counterparts, and we already have lots of live action versions that are not made by Disney of those stories anyway. Like, there have been lots of Pinocchio live action movies, lots of Peter Pan live action movies. There have been there is the new Jungle Book by Andy Serkis on Netflix that, looking back now, I think is probably better than the Jungle Book by Disney. Yeah, those movies simply don't need to exist. And that is why, to send a message to Disney to stop making those live action remakes, I'm not seeing The Little Mermaid in cinemas. Not that it will speak to Disney in any way, because I guarantee you they will most certainly keep on and on with those live action remakes. But message has to be sent. Hence, I'm not seeing this movie in theaters. And thank you guys for checking out this video. Press the like button. Please subscribe to this channel, and I'll talk to you soon in another video. Talk to you later. Bye!